I saw that business was not about doing business. It was more about doing the business of purpose and not making business your purpose.
This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good morning, Purvi, Tantia. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
Awesome, and it's not morning for me. It's actually 7:15 p.m. India time. So good evening from my side.
Isn't that fascinating? I still am amazed by that, but technology gives us such of a grand opportunity, doesn't it?
That's right.
So tell me, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
All right, I think it's more about giving to the world wholeheartedly without expecting too much in return, and just being myself led to this connection.
Ooh, so tell me, who did you learn that from, that ability to serve, that servanthood type of leadership, if you would?
I think, to be very honest, it has to be my father, because from the time I remember being born, I know that he was all about helping people in as much ways as he could. And a lot of times it also meant going out of his way to help others and not really expecting anything in return, because I remember the day I was probably less than a teenager and a family member actually came to ask for some financial help. And my father probably didn't even think twice. And he just said after he had gone that whenever you give to family, think you're really giving somebody who you love and you do not expect it back. So I think maybe that childhood memory is very strong, and that really leads to that.
Being able to give requires that you have a full understanding, just like your father, of yourself. Understanding that, why will you continue to not just understand yourself, but continue to give even in your unique way?
Because I think last year I had this journey of my life where I was actually exploring what am I really supposed to do in this life. And I went through a lot of self exercises where I was saying what exactly makes me more content and why exactly am I really born on this planet Earth. I went to a lot of seminars of business coaching and other people. And I saw that business was not about doing business. It was more about doing the business of purpose and not making business your purpose. I think that change in my entire outlook, which happened last year, made me realize I'm born to serve and I need to do it as a business. So do the business of purpose and not do purposely business. And I think that shift in my mindset possibly got me to the situation where I'm like, okay, now I need to give back, because as I've seen in my childhood and as growing up, I saw whenever you gave, universe possibly returned back a lot more. So I think it's also in my selfish interest a lot of times, actually most times. I think I realize the fact that I'm human and I'm selfish, but the entire story that played in my mind from my childhood growing up was if you are selfish in a way that you are helping others wholeheartedly in return of something which the universe will send across to you, maybe not now, but later. And that selfish interest keeps me going and keeps me in the giving mode.
It's a great motivating factor, isn't it? That it
Yeah.
will return. And as well, if you like gifts, it comes as a surprise that you didn't expect, right? It brings color to life, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it makes you even more happier because it comes when you're not expecting it. And usually when you really add on to that bank so much that you're just giving, there comes a time when you're just getting. So I remember when I went to Australia like 10, 12 years back, I was selected by Australian government to study on a scholarship in Australia. So I went from India, flew there to study. And I remember Australian government had also given me money for my living expenses. So the first day when that large sum of money came into my account, I was like, wow, I can just spend this money. And then every month I used to get some interest on that money because it was in a saving bank account. So it used to feel so delightful that, hey, I'm actually earning every month some amount for something that I didn't even do. So I think when these surprises come in life in terms of gifts, that happy feeling comes like, hey, your account is credited with extra XYZ amount of interest, for which I didn't really work because that scholarship money was also given by the government. So I think I get that feeling every time a surprise comes to me in that way.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. Now, tell us about the work you do as a consultant, please. Is that something that you've been doing consistently over the last 3 years?
So basically, I started my first business about 10 and a half years back. I came back from Australia and I knew that I could actually help students study on scholarships or study in universities across the world because that is what I had done. So I started being a consultant education counselor to families and students. And then universities recognized that I was doing it fairly well. So they started approaching me for consultancy in terms of strategy for their India market and other things. So for 10 years, I really served the education market wholeheartedly and families in terms of helping their kids choose their career path and select their education routes. And for last few, I would say, years, informally, I was actually mentoring women in consulting, like my friends or friends' families or friends to friends and friends who would actually say, hey, Purvi, you're running a good business. How did you do this? Or, can you help me? And I'm like, if you're running a brick and mortar store, I don't know how it works. If you're running a store where you're buying and selling goods, which are like physical goods, I don't know how to do it. But if you're really selling knowledge or you're really serving people with your wisdom, that's what I've been doing for 10 years, like as a consultant. That's where I can actually help you. And last year, I actually spoke on prestigious stages like TEDx in 5 countries. And I met women and men, obviously, from across the world. And I figured out that women a lot of times don't really know how to run it as a business. And if I can really do it more structured way, I would be able to impact more women on earth. And literally, we have 3.5 billion women on this planet Earth. If all of us genuinely work together and work in sync, there's a lot more possible in terms of growth. So I started this company called MindWaves Global on January 1st, 2020, formally incorporated it, where I help women grow their business and I also help women grow other women's business. So basically, it's more of a networking community of women from all across the world who are helping each other to become global consultants.
How does it make you feel, like when you look back from now to then? How does it make you feel to see the evolution of Purvi?
Oh, it's amazing. I think one thing that is most important in this entire evolution was that I started becoming more comfortable by showing my vulnerable side to the world. So before that, if at all I was going through a struggle, I'll be like, hey, I'll keep it to myself. And if I actually got over it, it was great. But I would really not tell people how I got over it and did I really struggle there. I think last 1 year, I have become more comfortable in really showing the real vulnerable side in the situations when I really fell or when I really struggled and how I came over it and how I actually structured my responses in a way that people could actually take it and possibly learn from it and move out of that challenge. So I think that one particular aspect of my learning in the last year is what makes me feel better and good about myself.
Love it, love it, love it. Such a beautiful voice. Let's switch gears for a moment now. Let me invite you, Purvi, into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful warm blue Caribbean water. Purvi, what's your earliest childhood memory?
I was sitting on my dad's lap. I think I was probably 4 years and a few months. And he was teaching me the months, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. And when it came to April and he said, next is May, I said, no, it's June. And he said, why? I said, because my brother was born in May. And I think I'm my brother, this I'm talking about, he's like third sibling. So we have 4 siblings. And being the elder child at that point in time, possibly I saw that a lot of attention, and that's my understanding now, was going to him because probably he was just born and I was possibly feeling a little neglected. So it was me and then my sister who's 2 years younger to me and then this brother who's literally my backbone at this point in time and forever in life. And I remember so vividly, I was sitting in my dad's lap and he was teaching me and I said, no, after April, there is no May, it's June. And I clearly told him because in May, Piyush was born. And for that reason, that month doesn't exist for me.
It's funny, right? How do you see it connecting, though, to who you are today, if you had to, metaphorically?
Yeah, I think that was basically because I was just 4 year old and I think that was the first time I felt and I don't even have any other recollection of that time except for this few seconds. So I don't really know how exactly I reacted, but growing up, I had been a very protective sister. So if you ask my sibling today, they know that I would leave aside the world for them. And I really don't know how exactly that feeling literally came for a sister who genuinely feels that like even my husband will tell you that, I don't know how you really manage conversations with your family and with siblings and everybody, that for you they are like literally the world.
Well, can I offer an interpretation? Something popped up in my mind. I'm excited here, Purvi. It's like I want to let this out. I love the fact that one of the power moves that you've realized you can do and help other women do is take it. It starts with the thought. So yes, your brother his month is there, but you have the choice to jump over that month. And yes, it may look like it's defying what has been taught. However, it is possible, and you've done it. And of course, this is my metaphor. I love it. Ooh, I love it.
Yeah, but I think it was very strange when actually, just thinking that, okay, this is my first childhood memory, and this really is, I don't have any recollection before that. And for a protective sister like me, it's quite strange. But yeah, I think I love that comparison myself. I'm like, see how I've grown. Probably that 4-year-old Purvi who will be like, hey, my brother is born and he's getting all the attention. To today, probably if you ask me, will you give all your attention and everything that you want for your brother? I'll probably say yes.
Oh, there we go. All right. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
Okay, this is another story. So we lived in a family where it was me, my parents, and my siblings, and my grandmom. I remember growing up, my grandmother is very, very spiritual and she's very religious. So she actually made sure that as a kid, or as all her grandchildren, learn this particular Hindu religious song, which is called Hanuman Chalisa. And in that song, she made sure that all of us learnt it verbatim. And it's a long one. And she used to make sure that we had to sing it 8 times, like the full song, 8 times verbatim, without watching the booklet where it was used to be written, before going to exams, so that we can really connect with ourselves better.
All right, Purvi. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but we have to go really, really quickly now. So are you ready for this?
Yes.
Purvi, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, I want to,
Right.
but I'm not sure if the person is right now ready to take all the skills.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
No, probably 1.5 hours a week.
What about screen time? The phone and or the computer, more than 8 or less than 8 hours?
Definitely more than 8 hours, because my entire new business model is online.
All right, Purvi, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, Purvi Tantia, what would you say that is?
The most optimistic person you would possibly ever meet.
Love it, love it, love it. Purvi, this has been such of a grand opportunity. Thank you for passing by. In closing, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, thank you so much. If you've heard this, you've really given me your precious time. And I really believe time is way more expensive than any other thing on this planet Earth. So thank you from all my heart, coming from India, to anybody and everybody in any part of this world. Thank you so much for listening.
Purvi Tantia again, folks. Check her out. Links in the show notes. Thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-minute Convos with Angel Jones. This podcast is produced by Pod Edits. Visit podedits.com for professional podcast publishing.